Well, recently we conducted a study, groundbreaking study, internally in Sodexo, but global, with all our countries. So there participated more than 50,000 executives and managers all around the world in more than 100 entities within the group. And what did we find out? Okay, what we found out was quite staggering. So the data showed that the gender balanced teams outperform consistently the non-gender balanced teams. So what do we mean by gender balanced? Are teams with at least 40% women and no more than 60% women. So let's say between 40 and 60% women, we consider that a gender balanced team. So and the results show that the results were outperforming the main 4 indicators that we like to measure, which are brand awareness, client retention, engagement, and last but not least, very importantly, financial results. So the diversity clearly in Sodexo, I can talk from Spain and Portugal, where I was 8 years, and now in Brazil almost 3 years, is clear a competitive advantage for us.
So Jaime, what can you tell us about your experience at GM with diversity and the market factors that are driving those gender balance initiatives?
What we have today in General Motors is a fully integrated diversity plan as part of our business strategy. Why do we do that? Well, talking about women, women make about 50% of total customers for vehicles worldwide, but statistics show that they make about 85% of the decisions. Women in general are much more loyal customers to the brand, which is greatly important. They take the cars more often for service because they take better care of the cars. In fact, our statistics show $200 billion in the United States spent every year by women owners of cars in repairs, accessories, and improvements of those cars.
At Avon, I think the business case for having women in management and in leadership positions is very strong. I don't think anyone has any question about that. And what can you tell us about the initiatives that you have at the company towards increasing diversity?
In Avon, as Jaime says, women is in the root of all what we do. We started with a woman. The logo of the company is Avon, the company for women. Our sales force is 6.5 million women around the world. We operate in 150 countries. So a woman is in the heart of whatever we do. And we strongly believe at Avon that empowerment is what makes the difference. In every action that we do, empowerment. How do you get empowerment? And if you get empowerment, the world, as we say in Avon, will be better, or will be more beautiful, as we used to say in the company. What does empowerment gets to is to the earning opportunity. If woman gets financial earning opportunity and independence, she can have empowerment.
Tell us about your experience at McDonald's, and what can you tell us about what you perceive working for an American company in terms of the perception that one has of women's skills, for example, in the U.S. versus Latin America? Would you have any insight on what could explain this difference?
The issue is society has changed tremendously. Over the last decade in Latin America. We saw the growth of our middle class tremendously, but society has really not changed as fast as the economic power. So we've noticed the consumer is different. We notice that the attitudes are different, and I think there's a lot of people working, trying to bring down the walls of the castle as we speak. But it's taking time. is taking time. And attitudes and behaviors are probably the bigger barriers. It is not about the female talent that we have. We have great female talent in Latin America. It is about providing the opportunities. It is about being a flexible company for them. Because one of the things that we notice is that a castle is a structure that doesn't move. But our modern society is one of flexibility. And the modern enterprise is virtual. So allowing our employees to work in different places and to advance in different ways is one of the ways that we see it's critical for us to be able to fill the gap with our female talent at the company.
Do you have a internal target that helps raise awareness amongst your managers that you should be looking at female talent, you should be trying to develop female talent and prepare the pipeline for these leadership positions?
Small company, we have a quota, we have a quota of 30% for white male between 20 and 40 years. All the balance is women and Afro-descendant. So this is the quota that we choose. The other thing is that we have equal pay since I remember that we started the company between women and men. The other thing is that 5 years or 7 years before we have the law in Brazil of extended maternity leave of 6 months and for men 3 months, we have started and we make an influence on our federal government to have an extended maternity leave. So this is the small things that we are doing. That I think that it's also important, but there are other things that we can change much better in the world.
I think targets is very important, but you really need to believe on the targets. You said, our company does what we do, but I think that there is a bit of a commitment from the top. And many times we all agree that in most countries it's politically correct to speak about it. So there are a lot of companies that speak, but they don't really believe in that. It's not because it's gender, because this is my personal opinion, it's not my company opinion. I think it's a question of culture, as you were saying. So many times, why boards only promote men? It's not because they prefer men in general, it's because they are promoting their friends. I mean, it's a question of who you work more easily with. It's a question of interest. It's not a question of